Guys, today I wanted to quickly walk you through a comprehensive training on how I was able to earn $4 million in my coaching business while actually transforming my body into the best shape I've ever been in my life and maintaining a fun and exciting and lively social life. I feel like most coaches in the world or most entrepreneurs think like to make $1 million or become a millionaire, become successful in business, you have to become this non-human machine where you can't do anything fun and you can't have like relationships and you can't go out and party or have fun and work on your health. You're like, no, I got to make a bunch of money. And to make money, I got to pretty much kill every part of my life, which is completely bullshit. And you're going to know exactly how to achieve your business goals without compromising on your personal life. So what I want to cover real quick in this is how to achieve your business goals without compromising your life. Okay. Hopefully this is going to be a good breakthrough one for you guys. When you look at goal setting, especially in business, right? There is a science to it, guys. There's a right way and a wrong way to goal set. And so the science of goal achievement or the science of achievement states very simply. So here's what doesn't matter when setting a goal. By the way, if you're watching this right now, tell me what your goal is in monthly revenue in your business. Is it to hit the next 30K month, 50K, 100K month, $500,000 a month, hitting your first $10,000 a month? Drop right now what your revenue goals are in your business. I would love to know. And let me explain to you how to actually go about achieving that goal you set. Like we've hit revenue targets before. I wanted to cross $1 million last year within like 60 days, and we need to make another 600,000. And I set my goal in 60 days and we hit 650,000. We then since beat that goal. That was 650 in revenue. We collected 320 in cash last year. That was my biggest month. It was July of last year. June of this year, we did over 420,000 in cash and did 616,000 revenue. So we didn't beat the revenue, but we hit the cash goal. And so every time I set goals, I hit them. Not every time. I'm not perfect, but my point is I'm always progressing towards those goals because there's a way I set my goals that actually help me do this. And so let me explain to you this. Here's what doesn't matter. Number one, the timeline. Time doesn't matter. You guys all go like, oh, by the end of this year, by the end of that year, by 60 days from now, it doesn't matter. The time doesn't actually matter to achieving the goal. I'm not saying you don't do it. I'm not saying don't choose the time. I'm just saying it doesn't actually affect the goal. Let me explain to you, okay? Time doesn't matter. The plan doesn't even matter. Some of you guys are confused. You go, Armin, what are you talking about? Without a plan, you can't achieve the goal. I go, I didn't say you don't need a plan. I'm just saying it doesn't matter. And thirdly, some of you guys are gonna really get confused now. Desire doesn't matter, okay? It doesn't matter if you say by next week I'm gonna hit 100,000 or by this year or next year. None of that's gonna actually achieve the goal. It doesn't matter, so that doesn't matter, okay? Let's do it this way. Time doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if you say, hey, by the end of this year I'm gonna hit $1 million. It doesn't matter. If you go, I have this plan, we're gonna do organic, we're gonna do paid ads, we're gonna do it, none of that matters. That's not what's gonna get you the goal. It doesn't matter how bad you want it either. It doesn't matter how bad you want it, guys. I, for a long time, really badly wanted to have abs and to make $1 million and to be able to have a fun social life with, I can go out there and have confidence and talk to people and make friends. For a long time, I had plans and my plans never actually worked out. How many of you guys can relate? You make a plan, it doesn't matter because it changes along the way. Since I was 18 years old, I told myself I'd be a millionaire every year that year. And so I was wrong for 6 years straight until the 25th year. Last year, I hit my million. So it was 6 years straight. The time didn't matter. I said, by the end of this year, I'm going to be a millionaire. I wasn't. Okay, so it doesn't matter. Now, it doesn't matter how bad you want it either. So desire doesn't matter to achieving your goals unless, and this is where it's really important, unless the desire causes you to take action. That's the only time desire actually matters when setting a goal. So it doesn't matter how bad you want it, unless the bad you want it turns into some form of action. Now, this is usually caused by burning desire, right? That's what Napoleon Hill calls it, burning desire. It's usually caused by burning desire. That's why desire is important, but I feel when most people are like, I just sit there and I really want it. It doesn't matter if you really want it. Unless it makes you do something, it's not actually something you want. Like, this is very important to understand. So without action, it's not a real burning desire. It's a burning desire the moment you take action. That's the only time it becomes a burning desire. The second thing that matters when you're setting a goal to achieve it. This is what people don't think about, and this is what drives me nuts. The price for the goal, man. The cost of the desire. What do you got to pay to get it? I'm not talking about money, okay? It's the price, all right? And third, what nobody likes to actually work on at all, persistence. That's what matters. I want to go through this real quick. So desire doesn't really matter over here. It doesn't matter unless it leads to action. So when you're setting a goal, it doesn't matter if you say, I'm going to make, so you want to hit 25K a month. Well, it doesn't matter if you say by next month, by this month, by next year. It doesn't matter. That doesn't matter. That's not going to make the goal happen is what I'm saying. It's good to know it for specificities, but it's not going to make the goal happen. It doesn't matter if you sit down, but I'm going to do this plan and we're going to, all these ideas you have. That doesn't matter either because the plan's going to change as soon as you start taking action. As soon as you get some data and experience, you go, wait, this is a better idea. And then you change the plan over and over. Having a plan doesn't make you achieve the goal. And also doesn't matter how bad you want it. You sit there crying about, I really want 25 grand a month. It's going to change my life. It doesn't matter unless the emotion turns into some form of execution. That means you start doing something. Even sometimes people who don't have a plan that end up doing something end up more successful than people with plans who do nothing. So just doing something, even if you're blindly doing something, at least you're doing something towards it, okay? And that's what's caused by a burning desire. That's when you know you really want something. It's like, that's the primary thing in your life. The second thing that matters that's actually going to control whether you get the goal or not is this right here, guys. Nobody thinks about this, man. Nobody asks themselves, what's the price of what I want? Do you know why? Because nobody wants to pay the price for what they want. Most people are the equivalent of walking into a clothing store being like, that's a really nice Gucci bag. I want that Gucci bag. But they're like, I'm just going to go to the front desk and tell them I want it and not look at the price tag before they go up there to see if they can afford it. Does that make sense? A person who's really going to go buy a Gucci bag, they're going to walk in knowing the price and looking at the tag and checking their credit card to make sure they can pay for this. And if they can't, they're going to go make the money with a set mind, a very tangible outcome, a certain amount of money they got to make to buy that Gucci bag, go make that money, come back and buy it. Wishful thinkers will walk in and be like, that's a really nice bag. Can you give a discount? Can I do this? Can I do that? Maybe I can steal it. And like, that's what happens. Poverty does this to people. Okay. Because nobody wants to pay something for something. They want something for nothing. Does that make sense? It's like a disease, something for nothing disease, SFN disease, I call it. And because no one ever considers the price or the cost of what they want, they never get it. I remember sitting down in a seminar with the president of Think and Grow Rich many years ago, and he said this and it changed my life. He goes, you know, a man walked into a seminar one day and he says, for 10 years, Satish, I've been writing my goals down and reading them out every single night and every single morning, just like Napoleon says, but I haven't got it yet. He goes, you can write your goals down and say it until you're blue in the face, but until you pay the price to get it, you won't get it. And I said, what does that mean? What are you talking about? I thought the price is reading it every night and morning. I remember I used to ask him, like, Mr. President, how do you pay the price? How do you know what the price of your goal is? He goes, it's what you do in order to get it. Who you have to become in order to get it. It doesn't matter by when you want it, how bad you want it, or how great your plan is. If you're not the person to have the thing and you don't do the things that the people who have those things do, you won't have it. So I said, okay, so price and cost is equivalent to action. He goes, not always. It could be action, but also your capacity, your mental qualities have to upgrade. What are you talking about? I say, in this case, Satish, I want to make $1 million back in the day. I want to make $1 million. Okay, I want to make $1 million. He goes, I don't know, what do people who make $1 million a year do? I go, I have no idea. He goes, find someone and figure it out. Because if you don't know their mental qualities and their daily activities and all the things they do to make $1 million a year, you will never be able to pay the price like they are to get it. I said, interesting. So it doesn't matter how many times I'm blue in the face, yelling at myself my goals every day. It doesn't matter if I say by the end of this year. See, for 7 years, I was wrong, right? For 6 years, I was wrong. From 18 to 24, I was wrong. I said at the end of that year, I'm going to make $1 million. It wasn't until the 7th year, right? My 25th year that I did make my first million. 1.7, we crossed it. Is because I surrounded myself with a bunch of millionaires. And I started to see the differences between them, how they think, what they do every day, how much work they put in, what prices they pay. And that was the price for me. The gap between who I was and who they were and what I did and what they did and what I was like and what they were like, the gap was the cost. Now the question was I willing to close that gap and pay the price? I got to develop the qualities they have. I got to develop the habits they have. I got to develop the mental qualities and make the same decisions and put in the same amount of work and do the same things and get that smart, right? Take care of my body as much. Was I willing? And the willingness to pay the price for what you want is what makes you have it. Not your time, not your plan, not your desire. Willingness to pay the price. Now that's not it, is it? Because if you're willing to pay the price, you go, okay, I know for me to go from, there's a famous saying, if you want to make 6 figures, work 6 days a week. If you want to make 7 figures, work 7 days a week. If you want to make 5 figures, work 5 days a week. It's just a saying. I don't think that's accurate directly, but it's a saying and it's a good way of putting it. Obviously, someone making more money than you works more than you. It doesn't mean that they work longer hours than you or they only work more hours. Technically, I work less than most people making 6 figures and I make multiple 7. But it's only because now I leverage things in my business. But in the beginning, my first 6 figures, I worked 7 days a week. I worked every day because I wanted to crack the code. That's called burning obsessional desire. I took action. I was willing to pay the price. That's what mattered to me the most. Now, for me, that was a work-life balance. Because everything that mattered to me, I was spending my time on my goal. Now, if I wanted to have a social life at the time and all this stuff, and back then I didn't, right? Like I wanted to build a business. As soon as I got the hang of the business, though, I'm like, oh, I don't have to compromise on everything in my life. I could have everything. I just thought that I had to compromise. And it's because I didn't know these things. So let me tell you this, when you're setting a goal, you need to take action. You need to know the price and the cost of your goal. This is the biggest one, by the way. And this is something you start realizing when you start scaling past 6 figures. Because to scale past 6 figures, you need to start tracking KPIs in your business. And so when we track KPIs in our business, we sit down and we actually ask what the target is for this month. And then we reverse engineer the target into how many calls we need to book, how many conversations we need to have, how many messages we need to send. And we see the actual targets we got to hit to make that goal happen. So it's not an idea anymore. It's a real roadmap. And so if you treat your life, your goals in business and in your life the same way, like I want to hit this. So what's the metrics? What's the KPIs? What's the price I have to pay for this? Then you get it every single time. And persistence is the last one, because it doesn't matter how much you're willing to pay the price or how much action you take. If eventually there's something enough to make you quit, you won't get it. Because oftentimes we get things in our life, the things we want the most, after that last line where we're tempted the most to quit because there's no point in moving forward. It's usually after that line that if we take one more step past the quitting line, we actually get everything we want in our life and more. And most people quit right there or far before that line. Persistence, most people are like, oh, I just keep going. Like, it's not that simple. Let me explain to you. Have you ever had a nightmare and you're asleep, but like you're wake paralysis? So you're like awake, but you're asleep, but you could feel it, but you're in the nightmare. So you know you're awake, you're in the nightmare, and you want to wake up. Have you ever had that? Okay, I have. So imagine you're sitting there and you're in your bed and you can't move, right? And you're trying to move. Tell me, how hard do you try when you're in that nightmare to wake yourself up? For me, I remember I was having this one nightmare and something was like in a house with me and I was alone. I was like scared the shit out of me. So like I would look down corners and like his face is gonna pop out or something. I'm like, oh my God, I don't want to see his face. I'll be scarred for life. So I'd close my eyes in the dream because I'm like, I don't want to see the face, because if I see the face, I'm gonna get scarred for life. And while I'm doing that, I'm trying to move my body. You could like the amount of effort, you depend your whole life's energy on just moving your finger, because if you move your finger, you can start moving your hand. And if you can move your hand, you can wake yourself up out of bed. That's how hard you try to wake yourself up from that nightmare. That is what persistence is. Napoleon Hill talks about this and it blew my mind away. Yeah, sleep paralysis. So like I have a lot of ups and downs and ruts and plateaus in the last years with my health and my business, but I never let it get me down. There was never a plan B. There was never an option to quit. There was never a this. I remember a couple of times we had 0 months and I'm like, holy shit, I got to borrow money to pay bills. My mind would start going to who can lend me the money. And I'm like, wait, I'm in a business where I can close like 5 clients right now and make like, $25,000 to $50,000. What am I doing? And then I would snap myself back and persist to get on my goal. But like, see, those moments you don't count for. Most people don't count for them and they think it's not that important. It is that important, because those are the very moments that define whether you're worthy of your goals or not, whether you are worthy of your goals or not. Does that make sense, guys? So persistence is the other side, is the third thing that actually matters when you're setting a goal. These things in the science of achieving your goals don't actually make a difference. Napoleon tells you to just write down your time, your plan, and your desire only because you need a starting point. But the starting point doesn't mean you're entitled to an ending point. The ending point of achieving that thing you want comes with you taking repetitive action every freaking day. Even if you fall behind, even if you fail, even if you still take action, you still keep going. That's persistence. You being very intelligent and knowing actually what cost and price there is to you achieving your goals, and persisting no matter how hard it gets. And my friends, I'm going to be honest with you. Every time I've had the biggest jump in my business, I went from hit my first $58,000 a month, and then I hit my first $100,000 a month, my first $200,000 a month, first $250,000 a month, my first $600,000 a month. I still remember it was always after a huge adversity, a huge setback, a huge defeat, a huge personal crisis I had to go through. In those moments, I could have quit every single time. And right when I didn't, and I decided to persist, the next month, the next moment, I hit these big ass numbers in my business. I had these transformations in my life. Even this year, like all this growth I've been having in the last 9 months in this company, like my company's doubled in size this year alone from last year's numbers. I have 3 times the size of the team. I have way more infrastructure, streamlined my entire company. I'm talking to huge people to work with me and be partners with me in my business. Like things are happening. Every day we make sales. It's insane to me. And all this happened because I went through a serious depression for 5 months straight last year after making my first $1 million. I went through 5 months of depression. So like I could have quit at any moment in those 5 months. I could have said, screw this. I could have said, this doesn't work anymore. I could have said anything to myself, but I made a commitment to myself 6 years ago when I started as a coach. I said, I'm going to do this for the rest of my life. It's not a fucking option. I'm not going to choose to do something else. I don't care how hard it gets. So what doesn't matter is time, plan, desire, unless, and desire only matters if it makes you do action. And what doesn't matter is you taking action, knowing the price and the cost of your desire so you know what you got to do to get it. That's not always the plan, by the way. The plan can be different than the price. The price comes down to, and in case you didn't understand, mental qualities you need to have, your mentality, your activities, things you do, right? And your capacity. So mentality is obviously your mind's qualities. Like, are you a focused individual? Are you a disciplined individual? Do you have self-control? Can you master impulses, like your ability to do something? Can you control your temper? Like, are you a positive person? These things are mental qualities. I promise you right now that people make more money than you have stronger mental qualities than you. The activities. What do you do every day? What is someone who wants the certain amount of money you want to make? If you met someone, what are they doing every day to make that money? It doesn't happen by accident. People are doing things to make that money, right? Like activities happen for that to come in, man. And that was in cash, not even revenue. So what activities are we doing that you're not is the question. What activities is the person who's making the money you want to make doing You're not. I'm just talking about goal setting right now. We're going to go into how to achieve it without compromising your personal life. I'm just explaining to you first, knowing your goal is very important. Okay. Because I set myself up many years ago. I'm like, I'm going to have great body, great social life, great business. And I did it all. And I'm like, man, why? And here's the actual concepts. So this is what's important. So activities is what you do every single day, every single week, right? We can't choose our future, but we can choose our habits, and our habits control our future. And your capacity, this is just resilience, like your mental attitude. Like, are you able to handle failure? Your capacity to handle more and more problems, responsibilities, and failure is really equal to your income level, 100%. If you can only handle like $100 problems, you'll always be poor. If you can handle $1 million problems, you'll make $1 million a year. Promise you that. Probably even more. I've handled problems as big as 6 figures, okay? I've never handled a $1 million problem yet, but I've handled problems as big as 6 figures, meaning it cost me hundreds of thousands of dollars. Imagine, you gotta ask yourself, again, price you have to pay to make $1 million. For example, you wanna make $1 million. Could you handle losing hundreds of thousands of dollars, even $100,000 in your business? If you can handle that, because you can't even handle losing $10,000 right now. Like, there's a lot of people in the industry, like, you'll go spend like $5,000 on a coaching program, and then you'll like bitch about it. Oh, this is a bad program. Oh, the person wasn't good, or the product wasn't this, or oh, it didn't work out. Like, you'll bitch about it, right? That's just $5,000, $10,000. I spent $30,000 in a mastermind. I'm like, that was a bad mastermind. Can you handle, if you can't handle a $5,000, $10,000 investment and not bitch about it and still find something good about it, profit, and move on, you're never going to handle a $1 million business. $1 million business, you have $100,000 problems. Forget about investments, right? You're going to deal with clients, refunds, right? People in your team. That's very costly. Your ability to handle that, your capacity, will control your income level. Okay. See you next time. Go on and make the rest of your week the best of your week.